Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I am Claire Jones, owner of Liminal Clarity. If we haven't already met, I am an intuitive flow expert for women visionaries, innovators, and creators who want to achieve more in less time with less stress. So I am jumping on today to talk about how we can increase our creativity, productivity, innovation, and aligned flow, even in times of change, stress, and or transformation. So today we are continuing with the 7 areas of the Healthy Mind Platter, one of my favorite topics to talk about. So if you are catching me live or if you're catching the replay, please comment, tell us where you're tuning in from, and let us know what your favorite self-care activity is. So before I get into the nitty-gritty, though, I wanted to let you know that I am opening up 3 spaces to those of you out there who want to move in harmony with your truest selves by cultivating intentional flow and productivity to achieve your life's work with joy and ease. If you're interested, please book a call with me. I'd be happy to chat with you all. The link is in the comments on Facebook and in the description on YouTube for your convenience. So, now, why am I talking about the Healthy Mind Platter today? This is one of my favorite topics. I talk about it all the time, and I will basically talk to anyone about it at any point. People kind of get sick of me with how much I talk about this. But it's super important because I started my first business back in 2014. It was a general store devoted to local goods in West Seattle, brick and mortar. And the information that I'm presenting to you today is the kind of stuff that I wish I had had back then. So back then, I had found myself working 60 hours a week in a white box surrounded by inventory that I couldn't seem to sell, and it was a really depressing place to be in. I was living by myself at the time, eating rice and beans for dinner, feeling lonely, depressed, and worthless. This was a rough time in my life. I was completely burnt out. I didn't have the social support structures that I needed at the time. My roommate actually bailed on me in the middle of all of this, so I even had to pick up her half of the rent as well during this time. And it was just a crazy time in my life. My brain had pretty much just hit a wall. You know, I wasn't really working at my optimal brain capacity. I wasn't able to show up as my best self on a daily basis. And the one thing that really helped me get out of this funk and really helped me make the progress that I knew I was capable of is this awesome tool that I learned from the Neuro Leadership Institute, the Healthy Mind Platter. So it really helped me realize that I needed to prioritize these things in my life and actually commit myself to optimal brain productivity. And I come back to this framework every time that I feel a sense of heaviness, burnout, desperation, and frustration. These activities directly relate to the 12 houses on our birth charts that we covered last week and the week before. And whenever I'm watching myself spinning my wheels and not really getting to where I need or want or know I can go, I use this tool to create more space in my brain. And when I do that, I get more done by doing less, honestly. I can take on bigger challenges, and I'm more willing to go outside of my comfort zone because I can have a bigger reservoir of energy. And there's more resources available to my executive functioning. So that is the prefrontal cortex here. It's behind your forehead. And it's an area of the brain that's really important to working memory, memory retention, emotion regulation, and working with others, all kinds of stuff. Can anyone relate to this? I'm sure there are a lot of you out there. So if you're interested in getting clear how to best devote your time to aligned wellness activities like the Healthy Mind Platter, I'm opening up 3 spaces to those of you who want to achieve more in less time with less stress. So book a call with me if you want to chat. So, through years and years of analyzing fMRIs and brain studies and other psychological studies, the Neuro Leadership Institute has created this Healthy Mind Platter framework that represents the 7 areas of your life that should be prioritized for optimal brain functioning. These are the 7 areas to prioritize in your schedule if you want to increase your creativity, innovation, efficiency, productivity, and overall health, happiness, and wellness. These are all essential for holistic, optimal brain health. So as we go over these, there are 3 different categories. 1 is social needs, meaning connecting time and playtime. 2 is physical needs, which is physical time and sleep time. And then 3 is cognitive needs, which is focus time, downtime, and time in. So let's go over all of these as a brief overview. So when it comes to social needs, connecting time is super important because the brain looks at social threats and social pain in the same way that it looks at physical pain. So the experience of being socially rejected or socially excluded from something registers in the brain the same way as does physical pain. So think about how your social commitments make you feel. Do they nourish you or do they deplete you? This is a key factor for connecting time. Next, for playtime, it's usually something that's relegated to the young and immature, but playtime is actually really important for brain development and brain function because playtime allows your brain to explore and experiment in social situations in a non-threatening environment. So, are you consciously devoting time to play activities throughout your week? Then when it comes to physical needs, physical time is huge for the brain. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the brain actually creates a chemical called BDNF when you exercise, when you move your body. And it's basically miracle grow for the brain. It's this awesome chemical that primes the brain to create new neural connections. It enhances memory, it enhances learning opportunities, and it enhances overall executive functioning. Again, we're talking about the prefrontal cortex here. So how are you moving your body throughout the week? Do you intentionally schedule time for walking, dancing, running, hiking, lifting weights, yoga, cycling, or other activities? And then with sleep time, sleep is something that really isn't valued in today's world. It is more and more so, more and more people are talking about it, but we really need to focus on this because sleep deprivation is just as dangerous as food and water deprivation. Because we are so productive, so focused on being productive and busy, but that kind of leads to being stressed and overwhelmed. So we need to invest in our sleeping habits because it is vital for things like homeostatic regulation, temperature regulation, tissue repair, immunity, memory processing, and emotion regulation. So how are you protecting your sleep habits throughout the week? Is sleep the first thing to be sacrificed in times of stress? I know that there are a lot of you out there that do that. So finally, when we're talking about cognitive needs, focus time is basically focusing on one thing at a time. It is when you are focused on one particular singular task. It is not multitasking. So focus time allows you to tap into flow state, one of my favorite topics, where competence meets challenge. So it means that you aren't too competent at the particular task, but you're also not too challenged at the task either. So in this flow state, we are completely immersed and lose track of time. So think about the activities that provide this for you. How are you intentionally scheduling time throughout the week to engage in flow state activities? Downtime is basically daydreaming. So it's letting your mind wander in no particular direction with no focused attention, no focused subject or topic or rumination, just letting your mind wander. It's letting your brain have diffused cognitive processing. So this is the perfect brain space for insight. This is the perfect brain space for creativity, for innovation. This is where you're able to come up with new solutions, new insights, new ideas, and this allows you to come up with ideas that are more creative and more innovative. So when do you allow yourself to simply daydream without scrolling through your phone, without listening to a podcast, without watching TV? This is super important. And then finally, time in means intentionally focusing on your internal thoughts, internal feelings, and internal sensations. This is also known as meditation, or some people use prayer as a way to access time in. But it's basically a very intentional focus on your inner processes. It means you're paying attention to what inner feelings are happening, what inner thoughts are happening, what inner processes are affecting you on a daily basis. So when are you centering and checking in with yourself throughout the week? This is absolutely vital to a strong sense of self-awareness. And that's it. So that's the Healthy Mind Platter. It was a brief overview, and the specific activities that you choose for each of these areas is going to be directly related to your birth chart, which we covered in the previous weeks. So someone with Mars in Aries, for example, is going to have different physical time activities versus someone who has Mars in Pisces. That's why it's important to have a solid understanding of your chart beforehand so that you are making the most aligned decisions when you are choosing what activities to use in these 7 areas of activities. So as you map out your weekly schedules and commitments, think about how these activities align with your preferences, needs, desires, goals, challenges, as represented by your birth charts. That's why I went over birth charts before wellness activities, because we don't want to choose wellness activities that are unaligned with our birth charts, with our authentic selves. So that helps us make better decisions moving forward, so we don't waste a lot of time deciding what activities are going to be best for us in these 7 areas. Does that make sense with you all? So if you're interested in learning more, please book a call with me. Let's talk about the best way to create a custom mix of mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical wellness practices that combine neuroscience, spirituality, and overall wellness and happiness, and achieve your goals while having way more fun in the process. You too can reach and maintain flow state even in times of change, stress, and or transformation. I can't wait to support you in your growth journey. In the meantime, please join me for more of these Facebook Lives where I'll be going over each of these in detail and providing you with practical tips, tools, and recommendations. I'll be jumping on tomorrow to talk about connecting time more in depth. And until then, please remember that your authentic self is extraordinary, it is wonderful, and you owe it to yourself to create the elevated life that you know you are capable of. Take care, everyone. Bye.